Racing on Lake Washington continues now. Welcome back, everybody. Let me remind you, by the way, that tonight, immediately following the presentation to the winner of the final heat of today's hydro races, we're going to take you back to the Kiro News Channel 7 newsroom for a look at the race highlights and a weekend news wrap-up with David Curley and Narissa Williams, and, of course, a look at the weather with Nick Walker. Stay tuned for the Sunday evening news. That's coming up following our coverage today, right here on Kiro News Channel 7. Tide boat going into the water. The other boat's getting set as well. Heat 2A is coming up in just a couple of seconds. Let's turn it back over to Mike Fitzsimmons at the start-finish line, talk about the drivers and the boats involved in Heat 2A. Michael?
Let's check them out by lane draw now and see what we've got. You got the Tide running the #1 lane. Smokin' Joe's will be in the #2, the key lane for this one. The Compass presents the Virion pit stop in lane 3. That's Scott Pierce. Got a pretty good draw despite his spin out in his earlier heat. With a poor draw, but it could have been worse. Miss Budweiser going to try to have to draw everybody into the first corner from the 4 lane. The Wicked Ale, a possible starter, possibly not if they can't overcome that skid pin problem, and the officials will have to check and inspect that. And of course, the Spirit of Lake Chelan with Mitch Evans gets a first chance to race. They went dead in the water and didn't make a start the last time, so he'll be the pace boat on the outside with that piston-powered race boat. Tide's got a very good position going into this one, I think.
I think the Smokin' Joe's is going to be controlling this race from his second lane position with the Tide holding that tight inside lane. He's the one that's got the power to drive away with it.
I think they will too, and one of the other stories here that I think is worth mentioning is with Smokin' Joe's. There's a couple of races here besides trying to control the Budweiser in this particular one. They want to obviously beat the Budweiser anytime that they can, but they're looking farther down the road. They want to be able to have lane choice later on if they have to run with the Budweiser again. And the national points, they're not that far behind the Budweiser. Here's another opportunity to go head-to-head with the boat they have to beat in order to win the World Championship.
Only a couple more races after this one, John, as you well know, and they're 630 points down on the Miss Budweiser at this time, and have to chase down. Now, Mark Tate has a wide lead, a commanding lead in the national driver points because Chip Hanauer missed a couple of races earlier in the season. But as far as boat points are concerned, the Budweiser was driven successfully by Mike Hansen to a victory in Texas, and it maintained its leadership. So that's what let's take a look at these national high point scores right at this time. Budweiser is ahead of the Smokin' Joe's as far as boat points are concerned, but the Smokin' Joe's driver is ahead of Chip Hanauer as far as driver points are concerned. Tide's right in there, the T Plus and the Exide in 5th position overall, and the Performance Mortgage Sunset Chev is right up there as well. We've had a little bad luck along the way, and we've had only 1 point in time did we see the Miss Madison. The Powerball Miss Madison back at Madison did run. That's the only time we'll ever see her this year, so 812 is her total for the season. But several of the others, as you can see, have made early appearances or late appearances on the season, so they don't have a whole lot of points yet.
How big a factor do you think Scott Pierce in that #3 lane with Chip in the #4 lane? Is he going to be controlling where Chip goes?
I think he's going to be a very interesting factor here because this boat will turn far better in the outside lanes. This 3-wing boat, and it's what we're talking about, it's the only one of its kind. This 3-wing boat is going to corner a whole lot better and carry a whole lot better boat speed outside. And he wants to fly a little bit, as Scott told you. He wants to loosen the boat up. So I think he'll be a factor in that first turn.
Which is going to make Chip's race course a lot longer.
It surely is, because Chip's got to have to overcome 3 real good boats to get that front position, and I don't think that the Budweiser, despite its superiority, and I think it's the best boat out here, is all that good or will want to risk as much to do that right off the first corner there.
Still a little bit early in the day to put it all on the line then.
I think so. We'll sort them out a little bit down the back chute. I think Chip wants to run into the wind once also and get a feel for that. Let's look at the driver high points. As we told you, there's a little change. Mark Tate is your top driver. As far as high points are concerned, Nate Brown of the Tide is in 2nd place. The T Plus is Steve David in 3rd. Then you find Chip Hanauer. Chip was injured in the Gold Cup race before he even made a start. Heat 1A, the hatch came open underneath the race boat. He couldn't make a start there. He also missed the Texas race, made his return in Evansville, Indiana. Losing those 2 races, that is not being able to participate, put him down in 4th place in points now, even though he won 3. Mark Evans is then in the Exide. Behind him, Dave Villwalk in the American Dream, and then Mike Hansen, who, by virtue of the points scored both in the Budweiser as well as the Miss Madison, is in that position. Mitch Evans then in the Evansville-based Cooper's boat, which is running here as the Spirit of Lake Chelan. Jack Berry in the Rock. Ken Muscatel, Jimmy King, who ran the 2nd Miss Exide boat at the Gold Cup race only, and only made a couple of heat appearances. Now Scott Pierce is making his return here last weekend and here at Seattle, and there you see the early point gains for their season. Some of these guys are in the early stages of their season. Some of these guys have been 4 races into it, 5 races into it already.
Mike, excuse me, Rick, you're talking about drivers. I do want to jump in with this report we've just gotten from Harborview Hospital that Ken Dryden, The pilot of the Miss Elam Plus, who did blow over earlier today, is now in surgery at Harborview Hospital for leg trauma. He is in serious but stable condition, we are told now from the hospital. News Channel 7 is on the scene. We'll continue to update that story for you. We'll bring you more as we get it here from the pits this afternoon, as well as a complete report tonight on the news at 6 o'clock. So we do want to update everyone. He is in surgery, and he is in stable condition, but serious condition at the hospital right now.
Our thoughts are with him and with his family and with the whole Elam organization down there, and with Glenn Davis and all those guys. It's a tough afternoon for them, but Ken's a fighter. He'll pull through fine.
One more question on this start, Mike. If perchance the Pete's Wicked Ale and the Spirit of Chelan don't come out, the Budweiser will be the starting boat. They'll key off of him. Is that an advantage?
Right.
He'll be
that would be a
pace
pace boat for him because he's the only one that can actually see the flag, as we already saw the first two heats. There's a question as to whether or not you can see the flag, and the outside boat is the one who can see it best. Tom Glasgow, come on in here on that. That's a real opportunity for him, isn't it?
Guys, I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying coming into me, Mike, but what I can tell you about the Pete's Wicked Ale is this. Being the nosy guy that I am, eavesdropped on a conversation Ken Muscatel was having with one of the officials of the Unlimited Racing Commission. If they get the boat in the water, Ken's plan is simple. Get out of the way, let the other boats do their thing, and he's just going to take it easy. So in no way, shape, or form, even if he gets the boat in the water, should we expect him to be a factor at all in this heat. He just wants to get a few points, get out, and then work on the boat a little more, get it even in better shape for the next heat that he's going to be in. So the Pete's Wicked Ale won't be much of a factor in this heat. That's by design due to the problems they're having with that bracket on the skid pin.
Of course, he'll aggravate the problem when he runs it until they fix it entirely, and that's going to be an additional problem. They'll have to check the structural reality on that as well after he gets back, because that's not going to do it any good to run it even at slow speed.
I assume then he'll run as a trailer rather than as that starting boat.
That's right. Heat 2A is coming up for the Texaco Cup, and we'll be back after this. Looking to see if they're going to put the Wicked Ale in the water, and it looks like they're going to give it a shot there. Meanwhile, the other guys are cruising up the back chute, and we are inside the yellow flag, no, the white flag period, so it doesn't make any difference. The Wicked Ale won't be able to run anyway. They've violated the rules by not being on the course and running at the 1 minute period, so Wicked Ale is out of it anyhow as a matter of the rule book. Whether or not the skid pin would hold for the boat doesn't make any difference. Nobody's going to let her start anyhow. And as we take a look at it on the lane number 1, it's the Tide. Lane number 2, it's the Smokin' Joe's. Lane 3, it's the Pit Stop. In for the Budweiser on the outside, Mitch Evans. They've got a fairly good lie here. Let's see what happens as far as whether or not we get a flag. No, now they're way out of position. Unfortunately, they're all... Oh, they give them the start anyway. There goes the green flag. They were way out of position. That's another surprise. And it looks as though Miss Budweiser is going to lead them from the outside lane down into that first corner. It looks as though possibly Mark Tate didn't realize they had to start again. We'll see what happens out of the corner. The Budweiser now, Tate has got the throttle down and is locking in on the corner. Let's see what happens as they come out. It is the Smokin' Joe's out on the inside lane on top. The Budweiser giving chase on the very inside lane. Number 1, that's the Tide, pushing those 3 Rooster Tails down the back chute. Smokin' Joe's is your leader. Mark didn't seem to have the hammer down, though, when the flag dropped. That was a surprise again a little bit. He may have a comment about that. He goes up into the upper turn right now, and the Budweiser's right outside of him. We got a great deck-on-deck duel coming together right now, Rick.
Side-by-side racing. Mark Tate coming out of that corner. He's pulling him a little bit. Chip bounced out a little bit. Coming down to the start-finish line, it's Mark Tate for that first lap.
Yes, and they're literally side-by-side. Miss Budweiser on the outside with Chip Hanauer getting a little bit bow high and having to back out of it just a little bit. Third place it is the Tide. Here they go through that lower corner now. You're looking at the Smokin' Joe's. Mark Tate has never actually beaten in a head-to-head competition Chip Hanauer. Chip got a little close and then went to the outside. Now he's tightening down again. Look at the Tide tucked inside there from lane number 1. Meanwhile, we're up the back chute now. Lap number 2, it is the Smokin' Joe's, your leader. There's the Budweiser on the outside and pulling alongside. Crowd likes this on the beach. This is what they came to see. Deck-on-deck dueling. Let's see this time whether or not the Smokin' Joe's has the power to stay on it through the corner and make Chip Hanauer go wide. He's going to do it. Looks like he hits a great corner this time. And again, Chip Hanauer slides back just a bit.
Mark Tate is holding with that power. He came off that turn very tight, and Chip is starting to slide back up on him now as we go into the south turn.
Okay, end of lap number 2, and it's still the Smokin' Joes and the Budweiser side by side. We've got a good one locking up this time. Smokin' Joe's through the lower corner for the last time. Budweiser this time holds the hammer down just a little bit more. Johnny Walters, he definitely put the hammer down.
Yeah, he sure did. Mark's doing an outstanding job of keeping the Smokin' Joes right on the buoy line, but Chip drove into that turn what looked like maybe 10 miles an hour on him as he came around the outside there. Now he's opening up a pretty substantial lead as they go down the back straightaway into the wind.
Absolutely, gave him a throttle advantage off that corner. That was an excellent turn on the part of Chip Hanauer. He really dove into the corner deep and fast. Let's see this time whether or not Mark Tate's going to allow him to escape. I don't know whether he will. He's coming in very, very tight. Chip's got great boat speed through the corner, and the Budweiser, I think, is going to capitalize on it and come down with a last lap to go now. The checker flag comes out to the Budweiser. Checker flag comes out to the Smokin' Joes, and it turns out we have a lap penalty on Miss Budweiser. A lap penalty. The checkered flag was not for the Bud, but for instead the Smokin' Joes, the winner of the heat. Second place, it is going to be the Tide. Chip Hanauer is being forced to go an extra lap. The reason for the penalty not yet clear to us, however. They did not give Chip the checkered flag. They had to throw the white out there, pull it back, throw the checker real quick, and it looked as though they gave it to the Bud, but it was not for the Bud. It was for the Smokin' Joes.
That's really going to change the outcome of this thing. When they go from what appeared to be a first-place victory all the way back to fourth place, they're going to be back in that lane number 4 or lane number 5 when they have to come back out here and race against these guys again.
They're taking a step backwards, no question. Chip's trying to get a few more points, though, and see if he can race Mitch Evans to the start-finish line. Mitch doesn't want to let him by. Is it going to happen? No, Chip can't get the points even against the piston boat. It just wasn't going to happen for him. It didn't quite have it.
It looked like at the start when the Budweiser went into the first turn, he might have pitched over onto Scott Pierce. He got wet down pretty hard and came out of that first turn very, very slowly.
There's Bertie Little going down with Dave Herensberger in his lift, and he doesn't look like a happy fella at all. Not at all. That's the second time he's thinking, I'm sure, this is getting tiring. But the Smokin' Joes scores a victory.
Yeah, even though Chip got penalized on that and will not end up winning the heat, the Smokin' Joes guys have to be paying attention to what went on out there. Hanauer was able to come in rough water, starting in a number 4 lane and drive around the Smokin' Joes on the outside. That's a pretty depressing point to be right now.
That's right. You never like anybody going around your outside, and that's exactly what happened. And they're going to go back in, and the brain trust at Smokin' Joe is going to have to decide how to defeat that possibility. Remember, Hanauer did that by coming from lane number 4. So Chip Hanauer seems to be stepping backwards, not forwards in this Texaco Cup. Things are not looking real good for the Miss Budweiser. They've got a penalty to deal with, and the Smokin' Joes, as you suggested, was going to control it, Rick Corella, and you were right.
It looked like also that Nate Brown on that inside, he was able to run pretty fast with him for the first couple of laps. And this should move him up quite nicely into the point standings, bumping the Budweiser back.
The start was a little cattywampus, a little bit ugly once again, but this time, as I suggested to you at the outset, the Smokin' Joes had no intention whatsoever of getting caught that way again and had lots of boat speed into the turn.
He was looking. He was not going to be left hung out to dry.
All right, let's take a look now what happened down there in terms of the Miss Budweiser. Check this out now as we take a look at our video replay of that start. Here you go. The Budweiser in the first corner, lap number 3, came very close, and we mentioned it to you. She came very close and came over and then recut. She came in very fast, John, and that's a situation where if you're going real quick like that, you're a hero if you pull it off, but if you lose your boat for a half a second, you're a heel.
That's for darn sure. And one thing that I've noticed that Chip's been doing lately is he's been trying to drive the turn in a series of straight lines, and I guess the old shortest distance between two points is a straight line. He gets down and just slams the boat into the corner, tries to drive a straight line and clean it up, and you can see him coming along the outside here, and he's already, the boat bounces a little bit. I don't think he unhooked the skid pin, but he definitely moved over, and I'm sure that caught Mark's attention.
Very definitely did. I don't believe the two boats bumped, though. It didn't appear that they possibly did. Looking at it overhead one more time now. Let's check it out. Here they come down the straightaway. The boat that is on the right as you look at it is the Smokin' Joes. On the left is the Budweiser. This is in lap number 3. This is not at the start. And they were in a very tight duel. Here comes Chip into the corner, and ooh, he gets ever so close, violating the lane. Obviously, the Smokin' Joes maintained an arc. Let's go down to Tom Glasgow now.
All right, guys, thank you very much. We're with the winner of this heat, Mark Tate. Mark, explain the situation with the Budweiser, what happened from your perspective.
Well, it was just a great boat race, and I guess where he got the penalty call was going down into corner 1 and 2 on the last lap, and he kind of approached it a little bit. He came in pretty tight, and but that's racing. It's pretty sloppy water out there, and he felt he was doing what he needed to win the boat race, but he came over maybe a little too hard.
Did it affect you at all, really, as far as what you were doing at that time, what he did?
Well, it always affects you because when you see it, you're going to react to it a little bit, and but you know, the referees felt it was fragrant enough that they made a call on him, and you know, that's just part of racing.
You didn't like the start of Heat 1A. What about the start on 2A?
Well, it was better. At least we had some boat speed that time, but we were back about 2 boat lengths still at the start, and maybe it's something that we need to change on our end, or maybe we need to move farther out on the lane draw to get a rolling start like they're allowing these guys to do.
Mark Tate, the winner of the Smokin' Joes. Thank you very much, Mark. Let's go to Tony Ventrella with Chip Hanauer.
Thanks, Tom. Chip, obviously tremendously disappointed, but you're a little bit in the dark right now as to what the infraction was. True?
True. I don't know exactly what the call was.
It looked like a clean corner to you then?
Yeah, it seemed like a great boat race, you know, between 2 good teams, and, you know, everything seemed great, and I don't know why they, you know, they called some. I'll have to find out, but, you know, they're the officials, and I have to respect what they say and live with it.
When there's something like that that happens, when do you find out? They radio you immediately?
Yes, immediately. So at that point, I was trying to catch the last place boat, but I couldn't do that either, so things just aren't going our way here.
And I'll tell you, we're seeing the heat right now as we talk. So going into that south turn, then were you ahead of him at the time?
We were probably side by side. We were close, you know, but just good, tight racing. I don't know why they did a call.
All right, Chip. Well, hey, better days ahead, I hope. That's all we can say at this point. It's obviously a disappointing time for you.
It's been a tough week.
It has been. All right.
Well,
take care.
It
has been. That's the understatement of the week for sure. Go ahead, guys.
All right, Tony, thank you.
That was an infraction. The call is that when a boat approaches, if he's not holding the arc of his corner and comes to the left, which the Budweiser did, the arc of the Smokin' Joes remained exactly alike. As we look at it overhead one more time, we'll explain to you what we're talking about. Look for the arc of the turn. The boat that's on the right is already in its arc. The other one is closing the arc. You see how he comes across it very nearly, kisses the right sponson of the Smokin' Joes. You can't do that. You got to leave 10 feet between boats, and there just wasn't 10 feet.
Mike, I do want to mention as well, when Tony was talking to Chip Hanauer, for those folks who were listening in, and Chip doesn't sound up to snuff, and well, he wouldn't be considering he's driving with 4 broken vertebrae from a problem earlier this season, but he also has a problem with his throat, and the more he tries to talk and the harder he tries to emphasize, the more his voice starts squeaking, and it's something that's been happening during the course of the year. When he says things have not been going well, he means overall. I mean, his body, his boat, and everything today, things have just not been going well at all.
And of course, he blew over the other Budweiser in qualifying earlier in the week. This hasn't been Chip's day.
It sure hasn't. All right, here we go. The final results now of Heat 2A. Take a look. Smokin' Joe's comes out on top, number 1. The Tide Taco Time. Nate Brown at the controls is second. KMPS Pit Stop finishes third, again because of the missed Budweiser problem there. They drop all the way down to 5th. Pete's Wicked Ale did not start the race. Well, it's Spirit of Blake Chelan was in there as well, just edging out as Chip Hanauer tried to come through and pick up some points there at the end.
I will say the fastest lap has moved up considerably. The Budweiser's fastest lap was in the 3rd lap when the Bud made its play there for the Smokin' Joes, and she ran 146.802 on that lap, which is an indication that the guys are letting out the reins a bit.
And one other point we should make as well, while they're letting out the reins, that wind continued to gust back here, and especially on the backstretch, blowing out of the north. And so that boat, all those boats were flying a little bit loose at times. We're going to keep an eye on that through the rest of the afternoon. So there you have it, the results of Heat 2A. Let's shine up the props and get ready for Heat 2B. We've got lots coming at you. In the meantime, we're going to take a break here, and Mike, sell something for us. Here you go.
Heat 2A was brought to you by Pepsi. Enjoy the ultimate taste of Pepsi this summer at Seafair. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. And by Key Bank, America's neighborhood bank. As we check out the air show now, let's take this time out.
The cranes growing out of the shores of Lake Washington to place the hydroplanes into the water, and the driver of the winner of Heat 2A is standing by to receive not a crane but recognition for his win. Let's go down to the presentation stand.
My name is Bob Rupp. I'm with the Seafair Executive Committee. It is my pleasure to present to you Mr. Jim Jones from Haviland, who will make the award for Heat 2A 1994 Texaco Cup.
Thank you, Bob. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Jones, and we at Texaco Lubricants Company are excited to be a sponsor of the 1994 Texaco Cup. On behalf of Haviland and Formula 3, I'd like to present the award for Heat 2A to Mark Tate with Smokin' Joe's race team. Congratulations, Mark.
I'd like to thank Texaco and Seafair for their support here, and the Haviland Formula 3 oil that they put in their cars definitely works good, and you know, it's a great asset to have you involved. And all the fans at home, was that a great boat race? And you know, I know Chip was out there and we were just going at it and having a great time, and he pushed the envelope a little too close, but we'll be back together and we'll go at it again. Thank you.
Mark Tate, ever the good sport.
A little verbal hip check there too.
Well, that's right. You know, those guys try to keep everybody, try to keep all their competition just in line, so
Head
they know
games.
where everybody is. That's right. You got to play a little head games out here.
Sure.
Of course, you know, Chip, with all that's happened to him over the last few days, and now the Budweiser camp. Again, let's not forget that should somehow they come out of that lane 4 or 5 before the end of the day and still be able to win the Texaco Cup, you know, they could still win this whole thing. Let's go back down to the presentation stand here for just a moment.
Award to Bill McTaggart. Bill?
This is Volunteer of the Year award here for Seafair and the Texaco Cup.
Ooh.
Bill is speechless.
Well, there's a few people I got to thank.
Oh, I thought so.
Goes back a few years.
Okay, while he's getting himself controlled here, he's got a lot of people to thank. We want to go over to Nate Brown with Tony Ventrella. Tony.
All right, thanks, Steve. We're with Nate Brown, second place finish in that heat. Now, I know you saw the infraction, so explain the whole thing to me.
Oh, yeah,
or were you driving the boat? I guess they had to be busy at the time.
Well, it is actually out there, you know. I mean, I kind of messed up at the start, so I was a little bit off at the start, and they accelerate really well, though. I mean, those guys. So anyway, got around the first corner and going, first couple laps I think was okay, and then all of a sudden Smokin' Joe's coming in on me and like, oh no, you know, I got wet, and apparently I guess Budweiser cut him off, you know, so that was the thing. The wind was really a lot out there, and it would blow your head off. So anyway, it was okay. I didn't really see the infraction. It was a good race. We got second.
Yeah. And you got to go one more time, and just to make sure everything's cool.
Yeah, we'll go again. It's fun.
All right.
Any chance I get, we'll go run around circles. You want to take it for a spin?
Later on today, after it's over.
You sure? Okay.
Will it go 60?
Well, I don't know. The cockpit might be a little big for you. You're not very big. I thought you were bigger than you really are. I'm small, too.
I appreciate that. Maybe with a taco time hat on, I'd be taller.
Okay. Oh, you want a taco time hat?
No,
Yeah,
sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, guys, shameless promotion is not what I'm supposed to be doing, but hey, we'll send it back up to you.
When are you guys going to take this act on the road? I mean, it's a great deal you got going down there. The air show continues with some aerobatic maneuvers high above the waters of Lake Washington. Kind of frightening, actually, watching a plane go up upside down and just sort of stop up there in midair. But we've seen just about all of it here today. Bud Granley is the pilot of this plane, and he's showing off his skills up there. And these pilots really are skilled. It's a terrific air show. Brought to you by KeyBank today. Let's go down to Ron Callan in the pits. Ronnie.
Well, the west side of the pits is very busy right now because the XI, the International News, and the Miss Rock going to be in Heat 2B. And Jack Berry, obviously, Dave Villwalk's got to be one of the favorites. But this is an opportunity for you to pick up some big points here.
That's what we're trying to do here. Every heat, finish them and pick up the points. My teammate Dave did a great job in the first heat, and looking for him to do the same here. And Miss Rock will be right there with him.
Talk a little bit about how this boat's running, because it seemed to run pretty well for you in that first heat.
Yeah, it did. I kind of got into some water down here, and it put the fire out, but we got to restart, and it ran really well, and we expect to do the same here. We just try to do our best.
We're putting your boat in the water right now. Let's send it back to the other guys.
Yes, let's go down to the pits and talk to the owner of the Miss Budweiser team, who can't be all that happy about what's going on today, Bernie Little.
You're right about that, Steve. Bernie, you just paid, a $300 fine. Number one, that's not going to make you too happy, but you can't protest this stuff, can you?
Well, I'm not sure. I wouldn't protest it anyhow. I think the officials know what they're doing, and we hope they do. And they've called us a lap penalty, and you can see what the fastest boat was out there. The Miss Budweiser went on out and passed them all. So anyhow, the driver of the Smokin' Joe said that it didn't interfere with him. But anyhow, if he's wrong, he's wrong. And Chip's a big guy, and so am I, and we can take our bruises. But we're going to still win this race.
All right, all right. True Bernie Little style. Thank you, Bernie. We'll come back down here later on. Yeah, they're going to keep trying. There's no doubt about that, Steve.
Mike Fitzsimmons, you've been involved in the sport in a long time. You've never heard Bernie Little to say, nah, I think we're going to give up at this point, have you?
If all three of his boats were lying in pieces in the pits, he'd be still figuring how he could win this race.
All right, we're going to take a commercial message. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Seafair 94 continues from Lake Washington. A man concentrating on his job is Dave Villock. Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet, the American Dream. He's the pilot. He's getting set, waving at a few folks. There you go. He's going to be taking off here in just a couple minutes for Heat 2B. But before we go and give you those lineups, we want to run down some of the speeds there on Heat 2A. John Walters, Mike Fitzsimmons, look at the Smokin' Joes who's out there smoking.
Yeah, they really are. These guys are going real fast. And one thing in the overall picture here is that they're looking to win the World's Championship as well as just this race. And with the draws they've got with the penalty and all, and beating the Budweiser head-to-head twice now, they've closed in and taken 446 points out of that only 600 and some point lead that the Budweiser had coming into this event. So they've taken some big strides today.
Bernie Little did say it, however. The Smokin' Joe's average for 3 laps 140 miles an hour. The Miss Budweiser's average for 4 laps 107 with the penalty, but Budweiser in lap 3 was 146.8. And that kind of tells the story, if you will, because at that kind of speed, the Budweiser is still capable of striking regardless of the lane.
Yeah, they sure are, and it's a winner-take-all final, so that's the Budweiser and Bernie Little and Chip Hanauer's goal right now is to get into that final and get the opportunity to do that.
That's really what their race is all about right now. They're just simply finishing well the next time. Let's take a look at Heat 2B now. Here's the lane draw. T plus with Stephen David is going to take the inside. I'm a little surprised at his choice of lane 1 there, frankly. The Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet, American Dream lane 2, excellent draw for Dave Villock. Miss Exide, good draw for Mark Evans. He's got a fast boat through the corners. The Rock had to take the 4-lane. The International News will be your pace boat on the outside.
We're going to break away for a commercial message and come back with race 2B here at Seafair. Hydroplane Sunday. Stand by.
Welcome back to the Ted Jones Race Course on Lake Washington, Texaco Cup 1994. Heat 2B brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Flying the low-fare airline is just plain smart. And by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running. Enter Napa's contest to see the Hydros run in Hawaii. Seafair thanks Millstone Coffee for their participation. Millstone whole bean coffees are made from the finest Arabica coffee beans from Colombia, Central and South America, and are available in more than 70 varieties. Millstone Coffee, gourmet every day. Boats are on the race course. We're getting ready to go for Heat 2B. The outside boat, the pace boat, looks a little healthier than we've seen the International News look so far today. And it looks as though Mr. Jones, Mike Jones, is ready to drive well here and bring them to the line. They're starting to bunch up in the lower corner. Let's take a look at who's going where. In lane number 1, a bit of a surprise for lane choice. It will be the T-Plus engine treatment with DuPont Teflon, driven by Stephen David, owned by Jim Harvey from right out of here in the Seattle area. In lane number 2, Dave Villock will take the Sunset Chevrolet. The Compass presents the Sunset Chevrolet. Get the name straight on this thing. The Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet American Dream. There we go.
Too many words.
Put it up. Yeah, and anyhow, that's going to be driven by Dave Villock. That's not too many words. That's the word of the day, it seems. Also, we have the Miss Exide. Mark Evans will be on the outside. That boat is, the representative owner is Rob Thompson, as you see on the right. And the other Leland boat is here also, the KISW Miss Rock. Jack Berry doing the driving, Fred Leland the owner. And as we mentioned to you, the pace boat coming up to the outside will be the International News, Mike Jones, owner and driver. They're coming to the line now. We have a white flag out, and everybody's out of position here. But that hasn't seemed to matter in the past to give them a start, so maybe they will, maybe they won't. No, they won't. We're going to let them go around one more time. You never can tell, Rick Corella, about this because we've seen the boats at least 2 out of 3 heats, or 2 out of 4 heats thus far, a little bit on the cattywampus side, and still he gave them the green.
Well, we'll see around this time. I did see him bring that green flag up as they came by that time, but it did put a little scare in me right there.
They had an afterthought there, but by that time the boats were almost to Seward Park, so I think there was a good idea to keep it tucked away. Anyway, up they come now, up the back chutes with the International News. That boat going to draw them up there. He's supposed to bring them to the line at 130 miles an hour. If the boats are out of position, somebody is definitely offending. They're going to get a radio warning, and if they offend twice, they're going to get a 1-lap penalty. I don't know if anybody was necessarily offending, but the guys were just simply way out of position. Boats forward, boats back, and nobody really holding a line. The boat that really has the most to lose and the most to gain here is the boat that will be on the inside, and that's the T+. And that boat should be lagging back as it is in the arc as they come through the corner. That's Steve David in lane 1 in the T+. Lane 2, the American Dream. Lane 3, it's going to be coming around to the line, the X side. Lane 4, it's going to be the KISW Miss Rock and the pace boat on the outside. It's the International News. This time they got a much better line. Let's see what they give them. And there's the green. They're off and running. And as they do, Dave Villwock puts the hammer down in the 2 lane and begins to pull them, and he has a lot more boat speed over the T+. But the X side's looking very surprisingly fast as they come through the corner now.
Yeah, sure is. Mark really stuck that thing into the turn hard there. He's not able to hold his lane quite as well as the 2 guys on the inside. Looks like Dave Villwock is starting to out-accelerate the guys going down the back straightaway, but Steve's still got the inside lane, and he can be right there with him going down the back straightaway. This boat does accelerate real well and does have good top end.
He does, but the Performance Morgan Sunset Chevrolet American Dream is commanding this one now. Dave Villwock with a lot of boat speed going into the corner will have the opportunity. Oh, look at the X-side dive to the outside now beside the American Dream. And we also have the T+ right in there as well as they come out. Still, it's Villwock with the command, and the real race is between the X-side and the T+ at this point, with Mark Evans really throttling down. Right now, it is the American Dream, that boat, going into the lower corner for the 2nd time. And Dave Villwock has a command since the start and is still running very, very nicely. They've got the boat looped out just a little bit more than the last time around and channeled the slot very nicely. The real traffic behind him, however, is the X-side outside, and on the inside, the T+. T+ still trying to stay with the American Dream, but that's right where the vulnerable part is for the T+. The acceleration right off the corner there just doesn't seem to be there for that boat. Hasn't seemed to be there much this season. Up the back chute now, it is the American Dream, and the T+ getting very wild in the wake of the American Dream, losing still further ground.
T+, it was amazing to hold that corner. It's still a questionable lane choice, and now he's just been wet down as he came outside on that first turn in the north end.
He did run into the wake. I don't know whether he was cut off. I doubt very seriously. There's so much distance between the American Dream and the T+. But the X-side has taken over 2nd place now. Whatever happened in that slot there, the X-side took advantage of. There you see the American Dream getting a little bit loose, going through the lower corner for the last time around on lap number 3. The X-side is your 2nd place boat, and just inside into the T+. That's where your real battle is now for this particular heat, 2B of the Texaco Cup. Side by side are the number 2 and number 3 boats out there. Meanwhile, Dave Villwock is pulling away and commanding this race very nicely, headed for another 400 points in 2 perfect heats so far for the American Dream. Great battle for 2nd and 3rd, however, and that involves the X-side and the T+. Stephen David and Mark Evans. There you see the battle right there. Mark with a little bit of speed advantage on the outside, but the lane advantage going to the T+. Checkered flag now comes out. It'll go for Dave Villwock. A great day being built by the American Dream team. The Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet American Dream is your winner. 2nd place it's going to be close. It's going to be T+ by a nose. It's going to be the T+ engine treatment by a nose over the X-side. A great battle it was. But with a little bit of boat speed on the front chute here, the T+ and Stephen David managed to prevail and take 2nd place. 3rd place goes to Mark Evans and the Miss X-side. 4th place overall, it's going to go to Jack Berry and the KISW Miss Rock coming down to take the checker flag now. And finally, it will be the International News in 5th overall, still running up to the upper turn there now, and at least she's still running for Mike Jones and company, an opportunity to save some face here and to come home. Well, maybe not. Very, very slowly now, off plane now, losing power now. Check it out at the finish line. We got the International News about 900 feet from the start-finish line and unable to finish.
Well, we have a southern breeze, so there's a chance.
Can't drift across. Have to go on your own power. There's a puff of smoke coming off of this boat. Seems to have drank a little water. Well, let's see what happens. Now the canopy goes up. That's a surprise. Maybe he thinks he can't restart.
And you think that he'd try to get across that close, even if he did it on the starter, he's got enough batteries to get it across.
Just on ground idle. And he may just try to do that, John. It looks like he is making an effort to do it. He's got a few minutes to do it, legally speaking, to get across the line. But, I mean, this guy is only 500 feet now as the wind has drifted in closer. 500 feet from the finish line and dead in the water. What a disappointment that has to be. But your winner has got to be very happy because the American Dream, the Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet American Dream, has got control of this Texaco Cup right now. Dave Villwock returning to the pit area. Didn't have very much to say for the trophy presentation. Pretty much business as usual down there. The one thing they don't have, though, gentlemen, is a depth of equipment if they really get pressed. And so far, they haven't been pressed.
And I've got to think now that pressure's beginning to build down there because they know they're in control of this race, and the next heat is going to tell the tale.
This two-wing boat right here, the T-Plus engine treatment, Steve David, the driver, is the boat that managed to prevail over Mark Evans right at the start-finish line in virtually a photo finish, but by a nose. Steve David pulled off second-place points for 300 points. And that's going to be a very, very important move that he made there as we continue to unfold this Texaco Cup, because that will figure in as a very, very important issue with this boat in terms of choices in the future.
That lane choice still comes into question. Do we think he'd been better off on the outside where he could keep that boat speed up a little bit?
I do, but then I am not presuming to suggest that I know what they were set up for and why they were trying to do it that way, but I would have stayed outside if I were that boat. Let's go down to Tom Glasgow now.
All right, thank you very much. With the winner of Heat 2B, and so far it has been the kind of day you like to have. Dave Villwalk will let him get his helmet off as he gets back to the pits here, and a very happy crew. You have to like David, what has gone on so far today. I mean, these are the kind of days that you hope for. They don't always happen, but needless to say, with some of the problems you guys have had mechanically this year, you're due.
The guys have done a tremendous job. You know, they keep working at this boat and making it better and better and better. And, you know, it seems to be reliable. It was real rough out there. You know, it was real windy, and, you know, but the boat handled it well. Just proud to be with Sunset Chevrolet, Performance Mortgage, and Fred Leland team.
Other than the rough conditions, which certainly are par for this course, the wind was a bit stronger than it was the first time you went out today. How did that affect your driving?
Well, it actually helped us a little, I think. I think the T-Plus was flying away a little bit going up into the wind, and he had to let us go there at the beginning of the second lap, so or on the second lap. And so it probably helped us a little bit. But it's a good boat ride. Happy to be here. Happy to have some of our problems. You know, so far it looks like some of them have gone away. Knock on wood.
There you go. I don't want to jinx you. It looks like you'll be a factor in the championship heat. Hope things stay solid and have a good, safe run the rest of the way.
Thanks.
Dave Villwalk, the winner of Heat 2B, and he is in good shape. 2 wins in 2 heats, and let's send it now to Tony Ventrella.
All right, Steve David's having a pretty good day. He has a third. He has a second. Let me think what would be next. First?
I think if we use mathematical regression analysis, yeah, first comes next, and the final as well.
You grabbed that thing right at the end. Right at the, although you had pretty good position, but I noticed right at the end. In fact, I couldn't even tell from this if it won or not.
Yeah, we did. I lost my aerodynamic control. The flaps, which are there at midsection, are what allow us to fly this boat like we do. And when you lose control, it's just at the whim of the wind. So I unfortunately didn't have the control I needed to win the race. But it was a great race, and Exide sure gave us a run for the money. Real good guys to run against.
As we talk, we're looking at the finish. That last second or two, we pretty much, did you know you had it at that point?
Yeah, I figured at the last turn, if I blew over there, it wouldn't be that far to get towed in, but I was not going to get beat out of second place.
Right. So far, it's been a good day.
It has been. The T-Plus engine treatment's having a good day, and we're just having a ball here at the Texaco Seafair Cup.
All right. Hey, we're getting soaked here. I love this. I need a shower.
It's like I'm back home in Florida. It's an afternoon thunderstorm.
That's exactly right. Thanks, Steve. All right, let's toss it back to Ron Callan.
Thank you very much, Tony Ventrella. Mark Evans, it was a close finish. Just got you in the photo finish.
Man, that's what racing's all about. I was having a good time out there. Steve David got me a little more in the corner down there, and just at the last, Villwalk had gone out a little bit, the Picos, and ran over their waves, and I lost just a little bit of bite. That's all it takes, you know, because we had him going down the backstretch, but pretty lumpy out there, the normal Seattle stuff, but hey, it's good racing, and it's just a blast.
Well, the wind is picking up. Real quick, I was going to ask you, what about the wind? Is it a concern yet?
It is. We trimmed the boat down a little bit before we went out, and I didn't use my canard flaps a lot when I tried to run Villwalk in that other corner, and I don't know if you got it on tape, but she got really loose on me, and we had to get on the canards a little bit more, but good running for the type of wind that we have right now.
All right, good solid position for Mark Evans. Good luck later in the day.
Right. Thank you much.
Steve Rabel.
Thank you, Ron. And everything is going the way of Dave Villwalk and his American Dream team. I mean, they just couldn't ask for anything more right now. Here are the final results of Heat 2B. As we see the boats going back onto the trailers, the Performance Mortgage Sunset Chevrolet, and of course the American Dream boat, Miss T-Plus in second, the Exide boat in third, KSW Miss Rock in fourth, and the International News just did not get to the finish line, getting a nice little tow in from the friends here on the shores of Lake Washington. That's Heat 2B. We've got a little break between racing now. We're going to come back, tell you some more stories about some of the drivers and what have you. All that's coming up and much more, so stay with us. Right, Mike?
That's correct. Heat 2B was brought to you by Southwest Airlines. with low fares on every seat of every flight, everywhere it flies. Flying the low-fare airline is just plain smart. And by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running. Enter Napa's contest to see the Hydros run in Hawaii. We'll be right back.